Hello vegan adventurers, welcome to another day in Tenerife. Today we're gonna do morning run to the Montaña Roja, which is the little here near Medano town where we live in. So I haven't been running since we came here and I wanted to do some training. I noticed lots of people running here, so there is a nice trail all the way till the top and must be a nice views from there. Let's do it. So on the way we noticed there is another little hill, Montaña Bocinegro, so we're gonna check it out first. You're on the summit of Bocinegro, one of the two volcanoes in this reserve. The other one is Montaña Roja itself, which is right in front of you. Despite its name, Montaña Roja, which means red mountain, you can see a wide range of colors here, which tell us something about its past. Both of the volcanoes were formed by an accumulation of basalts around the mouth of the eruption. Basalt is a volcanic rock that is usually black or brown. The reason for the red color is that it contains a certain amount of iron. Then it oxidizes when it comes into contact with the moist air and the sun, exactly the same as would happen to a nail, for instance. There is a broad, pale whitish colored band around the base of the mountain. Incredible as it may seem, this is a fossil dune formed of the sand left by the wind, which was compacted over time into this thick, toughened layer. The plains stretching in front of you are basically made out of white-colored pumic stones. These rocks come from violent eruptions that occurred in the mountain peaks of the island over 500,000 years ago. In many parts of the reserve, this material is covered by sand. You can see the only plants growing here are some bushes that are really adapted to dry weather when it doesn't rain for months at a time. Okay, so we were on top of Montaña Roja, 171 meters. It took us less than half an hour to get here with the stops. So if you run fast, it will take you less than 20 minutes. Down here you can see Playa de las Tejitas and the coastline that goes to resort town of Los Cristianos. And just over here is the airport for sound of Tenerife. And if you look further, you can see the mountains, but now they're in the clouds. And here on the right is town of El Medano, where we have accommodation. Down here you can see steep cliffs that go right into the sea, so you have to be careful not to fall down there. I'm being really careful trying to stand on top of the cliff, so it's interesting how waves over time created these steep cliffs here. Here you can see even a memorial that somebody died here on these cliffs. So it's no joke here, especially you have to be careful if you're taking selfies or pictures. Need is one wrong step, your head will spin around and you're falling down. And I would not attempt to climb these cliffs either because they're made of really loose material. So you see how careful and controlled I'm going down, not taking any risks. And looking down, these coral reefs look like a great place for snorkeling. So it will be a great adventure to swim from Playa de la Tejita around this mountain all the way to El Medano beach, but for that you need a good wetsuit. Congratulations, you have reached the peak of Montaña Roja volcano. From here you can see the length and breadth of the geography of the sound of Tenerife at a glance. From this excellent eagle's nest you can see a broad selection of other places that, like Montaña Roja, have been declared protected natural areas because of their natural and cultural values. And here you can see some kitesurfers on El Medano beach, which is really popular for windsurfing and kitesurfing, but we didn't get much luck with the wind and our stay here. And as we're descending down from Montaña Roja, there is a crossroad where you can decide whether to go back to El Medano, or you can also choose to go to La Playa Tejita, which we're gonna check out now. So this is Playa Tejita in front of us, and there is also a nudist beach just behind those rocks over here. Just before the nudist beach you have a sign that there is a danger of landslides. So we went for a quick nude swim to refresh, although the water was pretty cold. And here you see how we descended from La Montaña Roja. There is also a steeper shortcut, we didn't want to risk that. And now we have about 2 kilometers back to El Medano beach. Up until the 1960s, the lower slopes and plains of Montaña Roja were covered by tomato plantations. In fact, from here you can still see the remains of the former small holdings and some of the irrigation channels used to distribute water from springs in the high mountains over 25 kilometers away. But this intensive farming exhausted the soil, making it of no use either for farming or for the large local vegetation. The ice plant is one of the first plants that has managed to grow on recently abandoned fields. The small holdings you can see in the front of you now have already been recolonized by larger plants like Aulaga, Spanieletes and Salado Blanco. On the other hand, the soil of the volcano is different from the soil of the plains. On the steeply sloped lands that could not be used for farming, you can still find old and twisted specimens of Canary Island spurges. Many creatures find an irreplaceable home in these sands. What would happen if you planted a rose bush in a pot full of sand? It would probably not last very long. The truth is that sand is a very inconsistent material that barely retains any water. Moreover, here it is laden with salt. These conditions, plus the constant winds and the shortage of water, could lead you to believe that life was impossible here. You'll be probably surprised to find a determined community of animals and plants if you look around you. The larger plants are balancones, real experts in building up sand between their roots and forming new dunes. Several hundred species of different invertebrates live among the vegetation. Many of these form part of the diet of the canary lizard and some birds. More than 100 species of birds fly over this area every year. Almost half of these consider Montaña Roja as a great place to bring up their chicks. Until a few decades ago, this kind of landscape reached all the way to the other side of El Medano. Now, however, this is the only spot in Tenerife that still has a good dune ecosystem. Now enough of education about nature, let's get to some vegan flips. we're gonna explore the cave that we saw on maps at me, Cueva del San Pedro, that's also near El Medano beach. So this cave was not a real cave, it was more like a overhang in the canyon, which was turned into a church. As we didn't have time for anything else to do in a day, this was also pretty interesting. So as with the other canyons, this canyon was also a river before, but now it's all dried up because all the water is diverted into resorts, pools and aqua parks. But because these plants are more in the shade, they're able to survive the droughts. For example, even this fig tree here. So fig trees can actually survive many months without water. So if I was living in a dry area with lots of droughts like California or Australia, I would definitely plant lots of fig trees. So looking at the depth and the curvature of the walls of this canyon, there must have been a quite strong stream coming through here, but all the water is gone now, so you just can see how much the human impact has a negative effects here. I'm not sure how the biggest aqua park pretty much in the world goes together with this dry environment. It's just insane. And down here you can still see a little stream that's a remnant of what used to be once a big river. And by the way, if you really care about fresh water and its consumption, you should really stop eating meat because animal agriculture is the biggest consumer of the fresh water. Alright, now we're enjoying the nice warm evening here with the full moon. So the nights here usually don't drop under 15 degrees. And we have 2 more days left in Tenerife. One day we'll go to Barranco de Infierno, which is a waterfall at the end of the canyon. The last day we'll visit the #1 water park in the world according to TripAdvisor. So stay tuned for those videos. And as always, stay healthy and stay adventurous.